Hey, so welcome back for relationships. And in relationships, we're going to talk about all types of relationships, whether that's intimate relationship, family, friends, support. So the things that go wrong in relationships, when energy is depleting from your relationships rather than filling you up again, right? So we talked about children and how, yes, we give them a lot of energy, but also they also give us a lot of energy back. I mean, most of us at least. There's joy in raising our children that brings, the energy level somewhat even, let's say harmonious. But there can be drama in relationships. I mean, there can still be drama in child relationships, of course, especially as they grow older, it can become more challenging, um, at least emotionally. So when we have these types of struggles, when our intimate relationships have struggles, when there's family drama going on, when we have friend drama, or we just don't have enough support or friends for our human connection. Humans need connection. So when we don't have all of those things, we can find that our energy really depletes. So it seems strange because a lot of people think that, oh, people take a lot of energy, even for an introvert, right? People, especially for an introvert, people take a lot of energy. But even for introverts, they still need connections, and it's helpful if those connections are not drama filled. So this applies to all of us, introvert, extrovert alike. Um, and then, so, how do we solve relationship drama and everything is we look at our dependency. How are we making their problems ours, or how are we taking on their stuff, right? So that's usually a big piece of the drama, right? One person's unhappy, the other person assumes that unhappiness is about them, or that person makes the unhappiness about them. um, and so there's like a codependency there. So we need to be aware of relationships where we're codependent and kind of break that codependency a little bit and understand, where our feelings and actions and empathy ends and where that person's actions and, words and empathy begins, or, problems, compassion, whatever begins. So another way is to look at what we feel, we need to feel loved. I hear this a lot from women, he just doesn't make me feel loved. And then I'll ask, what does that mean? And they'll go, I just don't feel loved. And I'm like, well, what could he do to make you feel loved? Um, I don't know. Well, if we don't know, we can't possibly explain it to someone else. And what we see as feeling loved could be completely unseen to the other person. It may not, show up at, look, they don't know that that's how you're loving them. So there's a really great book we're going to talk about in a minute. And then we also want to look at our expectations and relationship compatibility. So there's often something called non-negotiables, right? Especially in intimate relationships where we're going to be on a one-on-one relationship with someone and it's going to be really, really intimate. We have to look at what we expect out of a relationship like that and really communicate that and understand, is that other person available to give this to me? Because there are certain things that people may not have the skill set for, like if um, some people are perpetual liars. If you are dating a perpetual liar, you can't make them tell you the truth. If you are dating someone who's not interested in doing personal growth work, you can model it for them. You can't make them do it. So if they're really not willing to go to a therapist, a counselor, couples counseling, or they're not willing to do the work, then you might have to think about, is this compatible relationship for me? Because if not, incompatible relationships can suck the energy out of both partners because they're both trying to make each other happy in ways that they can't, like if they just don't have the ability to do so. So there are some times where the other person just can't be themselves and change to be who we want them to be. So we have to understand, what is non-negotiable for me? What is truly, truly, truly important in my relationships? How can I make that clear and communicate that and ensure that, I'm not in intimate relationships with people who can't give me that. That doesn't mean that you can't be friends with people. You have more relaxed rules for friends and family than you automatically would have for somebody who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. I hate to say rules. Whenever I say that word, my teenager gets all crazy inside and goes, what? No rules, but guidelines. Like you're going to want to make sure that you're compatible with the person you're going to be spending the most amount of time with. And then implicit boundaries. So often, I hear people say, I can't believe he or she did that. Well, was it a boundary that you made? Sometimes we have unspoken agreements, like we assume our girlfriend's not going to go out with our ex-boyfriend. But if that girlfriend doesn't have the same understanding, I haven't made my boundaries clear enough. I haven't made them clear enough, so I have to implicitly mean telling them that this is my boundary. I wish you wouldn't cross it, right? And that's a big one that we have to make with a lot of our family. Today, with politics, that can be one of the most challenging things for holiday dinners, right? And so we have to make boundaries ahead of time. Hey, look, I really want to hang out with you, so we're not going to talk about politics today because I just want this to be a fun family occasion, and I know that politics can get heated, and I'd rather that not happen right now during dinner. So make boundaries. But this all seems really simple, Christina. Why don't we do it? Well, often, especially in family relationships where, those roles were built in when we joined the family, it's easier to give up our power, right? It's easier just to let mom make the decision or whoever, the big sister who's got the big mouth. She's the one who can make that decision. It's easier not to go against the wave, right? Even if that means that it's going to suck all of our energy out doing things that we don't want to be doing because somebody else planned it. That's one way that we give up our power to our own energy. Another reason we don't is that it's challenging to make boundaries and protect them, right? I mean, that's not always easy to tell somebody, these are the rules of being in relationship with me. So many times, and speaks to the last one there, we fear the other person won't want to be in relationship with us if we speak our truth. So often I hear this too, is that, oh, well, if I make that boundary, he may not love me. He may not respect me. He may not like it. He may, and the truth is that when we make boundaries, we make people respect us. We say, this is where my self-respect is, and I won't be treated a different way. And when we do that, you'll find that people are willing to sit inside that boundary. They just needed to know where it was. It's just like children, it's human nature to push our boundaries until we're told we can't. So boundaries actually put us in closer connection with people if done right. If we say, hey, look, my intention here is that I really want to stay in close relationship with you. And so what I need is X, Y, and Z. If I'm going to be in relationship with you, this is what I need. And make sure that it's things that you need, not things that you just want. Make sure that you actually need them. Do I really need this? Or is this a growth opportunity for me? Because sometimes things, when we don't get our way, it could be a gift in a whole another way. It could be a gift in learning or adapting or being flexible or understanding or compassionate. So we don't want to just make a line all the way around us and block everyone off, but we do want to make boundaries when we're being hurt. Whether that's physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, it doesn't matter. If we're being harmed, we should say something. And then, of course, that we don't feel worthy, right? So often we make the other person more powerful than us, and we let them take our energy because we're like, well, if I told them something different, maybe they wouldn't like me. Maybe I wouldn't be worthy of their connection. So it's vulnerable. It's scary and it's vulnerable, and that's sometimes the reasons we don't protect our energy, because it means defending ourselves. And if we don't feel worthy, it's really, really hard to suddenly be like, well, my needs are important. So let's step into our worth. So, what do we have next? Some of the to-dos. So, what we want to do is start looking at and taking inventory of our dependency or love addiction. What part of us just loves to be loved, right? Even when we're in bad relationships. And if you've had the same type of bad relationship more than once, something you're really going to want to look at is, what is it that I want to be in relationship with people who are not compatible with me? And then learning what makes us feel loved and connected. Because when we feel loved and connected, our energy level automatically goes up. When we have support around us to help us, just to hear what, is going on for us, our anger, or sadness, or celebration, or grief, or, fear. Just having support and connection can often bring your energy levels up, rather than sitting alone in isolation and spiraling down into depression. Um, we want to learn what makes us feel loved and connected. When somebody asks you, what could your spouse do, what could your partner do, what could your family do to make you feel loved and connected, know that answer. Know what it is that makes you feel loved and connected, so you can seek that out more. And it sounds silly, but really we all have different things that makes us feel loved and connected. Come up with your list of non-negotiables. What is absolutely not negotiable in any relationship? And then I would also look at in intimate relationships. What kind of person, that person can't smoke because you don't like the smell of smoke and you're not going to want to deal with, smokers' problems. Then make sure that non-smoker is a non-negotiable. You have to be a non-smoker to be in an intimate relationship with me. And whatever those non-negotiables are for you. If you're a recovering alcoholic, your non-negotiable might be, I can't be with somebody who drinks. That's your non-negotiable. Write that down and make sure that you're seeking out people who can actually give you what it is that you're looking for. And then setting boundaries. Who is it in your life that's causing you stress? Because you need to set a boundary that, hey, this is not okay. What's happening here is not okay, and I'm not okay with it. And this is what I'm going to ask of you. And if that doesn't happen, I'd rather not be in connection with you, or whatever the consequence is for you. And then there's some tools for you. So in your worksheets, there's going to be creating your non-negotiables. So all the things that are really non-negotiable. And then I want you to go through that list. Are there things that you actually could negotiate? Are they growth points for you? Are they places where maybe you could actually benefit from, or you could adapt, or, be flexible with? Don't give up things just because a certain person doesn't match them. Find the person that matches your negotiables list and your non-negotiables list. So get the correct person. Try not to do it the other way. And if you're already married and you are having struggles, look at your non-negotiables. What's there? What is it that you can do? What power do you have to either change or adapt or accept to make it better for you? And then the one book that I would really recommend is figuring and helping you figure out what it is that you need in order to feel loved is the 5 love languages. And of course, the man's name is just fleeting from my brain right now. But there's a quiz online that you can take. You can even take it, for your kids to see what their love language is. But there's this quiz, and there's 5 love languages. And so let's see if I can get them right off the top of my head. Touch, being touched is how some people feel loved. Words of affirmation, being told how wonderful they are, makes them feel loved. Acts of service, when I do things for you, it makes you happy. Gifts, when I give things to you, it makes you happy. and quality time. So when you spend, one-on-one quality time with me, that makes me happy. So those are the 5 different love languages, and we each speak really strongly, probably in one, maybe two, and then other ones are not as strong. So we want to make sure that not only do we know our love language, but if we have a partner, we want to know what their love language is, because what can happen is, like in my house, my husband's is words of affirmation. So he loves to be told how wonderful he is. Now, he's tried that with me, tells me all day long how wonderful I am. It does nothing for me because words. I'm more of an actions kind of girl, so I love acts of service, or I like physical touch. That's how I feel loved, being hugged, being held. That's how I feel loved. So all day long, he could be speaking his words of affirmation to me, telling me how wonderful I am. And at the same time, I could be sitting there going, why don't you love me? Why don't you make me feel loved? And that's really because he's not speaking my love language. Even though he's giving me oodles and oodles of love, it's not hitting me that way. It's just hitting me like a bunch of nonsensical words and he needs to say something, like it's hitting me differently. So we had to learn each other's love language so that we can talk in that language, so that the other person will feel loved in the language that they recognize love in. So that's a really phenomenal book. Again, you can take a quiz right online that will help you with that. So, and again, on this one, I want you to go through your whys, like what is it that you need to do with your relationships in order to have more energy? Are there relationships that are sucking the energy out of you? Co-worker relationships, friendships, family, intimate partner, kids, whatever it is. Are there relationships that are sucking the energy out of you? And two, the second piece of that is there support that you need? Better support, more support, stronger support that you need in order to really have your energy, right? To be able to share that and get all that ooey gooey energy back from people who love you. So when you look at those, I want you to go back to that WISE worksheet, right? And then, what is it that you want to do for your relationship or relationships? How do you want to change something? And then the why, go back into that why is it that you want that to change? And then the why not? What happens if it doesn't change? So that you can really see, the consequences in your actions, that if I take a different route or make a little bit of a change or invest a little bit of energy, will I get a lot more back by being able to resolve this relationship and have that feed me rather than deplete me? So that's the whole section about relationships. So come back and we're going to wrap this up.